remember what we grew up with, what we didn't have, I think we could make a very positive difference.
Now growing up, I just want to say that I want to repay you guys by helping everybody else, the family.
It's okay, Jimmy. You know we love you. Bị sớm mua thui ya, sa tàu lưu nây, nhiều ca chia lưu thao bị tranh mây, sẽ te bay cho nhẹ là bay chín trái with the nhỏ okay, bay mua khó tư là bay Yeng Moua tao, cú cho phong như, xin anh nói, vì cho cây khứ.
Hello and Yajong, welcome to The Pieces again. Tonight we got a very, very special guest. His name is Yeng Moua. And I'm sure most of you guys, if you like following adventurous stuff, like hunting, fishing, and if you're avid, foodie person, WildEats, that's what's in the house tonight. And thank you, Yang, for coming on the show.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me.
So Yeng Moua, he has WildEats. WildEats does a lot of adventure stuff with hunting, fishing, and it does a lot of avid foodies exploring the wild unknowns. And Yang's career is in the health industry, doing reduce health disparities within the underserved and special needs community. And Yang, what's that research you do again? I don't want to pronounce it wrong. So
yeah, it's cool. I'm a clinical research coordinator at the University of Minnesota in the Department of Neurosurgery, and we get a lot of data, clinical data, and try to understand two different categories. There's one in epilepsy, patients with epilepsy, and then patients with Parkinson's disease. And then we try to see, for the epilepsy study, is we try to understand how we can reduce epileptic events. And then with Parkinson's disease patients, we try to look at kinematic studies. How are their movement disorders, and then how we can reduce these falls from happening. And so if we can reduce falls, we reduce morbidity and mortality in patients.
Yeah, that's great, Yang. I know a lot of our Hmong parents would be like, oh, and then being the doctor, right, Yang? I know your parents must be very proud of that. I know if we did that, right, John, I think our parents would be pretty proud too. But how long you been doing that, Yang, with that research and everything?
Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm in research, but I'm continuing my academic career into that particular field, which is called health informatics. So using big data to understand to reduce health disparities in special needs and underserved communities. But I've been clinical research coordinator for about 5 years now, and so I'm still continuing that.
Tell us your daily. What do you do on a daily?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of people ask, what do clinical research coordinators do on a daily basis? Well, there's a lot of moving parts. We're getting patients, scheduling patients to come in, and so that we can see and observe them. We get a baseline of what their movement is like, what their disorder is like, what level of, let's say, of Parkinson's is like. And then we try to get a post-test to see how they're moving after clinical care. And there's a lot of organization that happens. There's a lot of, can we speak Hmong too?
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
great.
Yep.
I'll speak English first, then we'll move into the Hmong piece. But we gather these patients that have particular issues, Parkinson's disease, and then we'll see what their disorders are like, and then we'll have follow-ups after we get a baseline test. If they have what's called a deep brain stimulation to help them reduce their movement, shakiness in their hands or their body. And then we see if that deep brain stimulation over time works or not. We'll have a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year follow-up. And then for epilepsy, we'll have that same deep brain stimulation. And we're the first ones that we know of in this world. Maybe there are more individuals, but we're using a Medtronic deep brain stimulation device where we adjust settings in epilepsy patients, and we're seeing if these settings can reduce epileptic events. And if they do, that we see that, we'll let the provider know, and then they can send the patient home with a specific setting that we found that might work better. The same setting might not work for a different individual.
Right.
That's clinical care, and that's we try to keep things the same. But if we can find something that helps promote that type of help or assist that patient, then we want to go with it.
What made you go into this career path? It sounds so interesting.
Yeah, I've go phẫu của ý chừng nhỏ, medicine của ý chừng nhỏ nè, health and wellness của ý chừng nhỏ. And so when I see Johnny or when I see Tu jogging or exercising on a daily basis, that makes me work even harder because it's like, okay, good. We got good health benefits, from just a simple walk around the block or jogging for 30 minutes or whatever. But growing up, I didn't have a mentor. A lot of us didn't have mentors. Our parents didn't know really what mentors were in the academic or professional field. So it's just right? This should go to support, right? Which you in your life, this should go support, like I will go build my own bow with a home knife, which is dangerous as a kid, but that's something that I always liked. I always wanted to move around. And then I've always have been intrigued with health and wellness and medicine, and that's why I try to combine both things is can we forage and find healthier food outside? Can we garden and create our own salad from the backyard? There are nuances to what we do as a Hmong entity, as a Hmong community that is really healthy, but we need to put it on a higher level for all of us so that we can understand that.
So you're doing researching and medicine too. Chuan chúa. Có bỏ chauffeurs mong chuan chúa ha.
No, not to be honest. No, I have not. Just because that's its own world.
Okay.
But I look into Yeng Moua 比較北古咯，比較古早咯，比較用咗就亞控的播他們殺都比較的。And it's organic food, right? And when it's organic, it should be healthier for the human body. Things in moderation, I think we can take into account, like rice, because we're obviously not doing as much physical activity. Garden more, we would till, a whole hillside, a whole mountainside, right? We don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Majority of us. So we need to be able to maybe look at our caloric intake and understand, what we need to do to eat in moderation or to exercise more, because we don't do that enough. But all that, in essence, is what I've always enjoyed as a child. And I guess I just love to eat fresh fruits and vegetables too. I wasn't really a picky eater when I was a kid. I was chubbier. I was much chubbier than where I'm at now. I'm still chubby, but not as much. Just the food always tasted good to me. I always liked fresh cucumbers, like picked from the garden, fresh peppers, fresh tomatoes, things like that. So.
Yeah. What about where you're from, Yang, originally? Did you born and raised in Minnesota, or what's the history of Yang?
Okay. So I was born in Washington State.
Okay.
It's called Tri-Cities, Washington, and the city was Kennewick. And we used to live with a few Hmong families, and one person that you guys might know is Su Ta. He's the founder of ST Universal Videos from back in the day. We grew up with them. And so as time went by, they all moved back down to California. We moved to Boise, Idaho. And so I grew up in Boise, and that's where my outdoor excursion lifestyle happened in the Rocky Mountains. My dad, who I learned a lot of my hunting and fishing skills from, taught me how to hunt and fish, and it was really primarily in the Rockies. So a lot of elk hunting, some duck hunting, and then a lot of crappie fishing, trout fishing.
Yeah. I know. I think there's a lot of, or not. I shouldn't say a lot, but a few Hmong people that lives in that skirt of the country too. I know. There's this a lady I know you follow a lot too, and then you were commenting on the other day. So now I'm following her and what she's doing over there as well. And I know you was asking her about elk hunting too. I'm like, oh, then you must know something about elk hunting too. Then.
Yeah. No, Sheila Vu outdoors. I think she's from Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Colorado. Yeah, but there were zero Hmong people when we first moved to there. And then more Apeyi, Doka, because we moved here eventually.
Yeah.
Moved here in 2000. So that's when I started my young adult high school career here.
Yeah.
Culture shock, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many Hmong people, dude.
I see. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
Life
like
changed quick.
It's like going to the U.S. to an Asian country.
Man, it was crazy. It's like right now, it's like you guys decided to go to Egan and just get lost in like a mall in Egan and just assimilate there.
So how was the cultural adaptation where you're just like, Domika and goes, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up Christian. We grew up in as a Christian family, but all of our friends were Mormon. So Latter-day Saints, LDS, pretty similar in terms of like familial entity is like they have a lot of kids. I mean, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 is not uncommon for that type of family. So I was in good understanding with that. But so you kind of grew up just eating kind of the foods that they did. School lunch food was like, okay, school lunch food. But I always had a knack for wanting to eat what my mom cooked for last night's dinner for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? And so that is just, I would rather eat manjude for breakfast than like cereal. Cereal's just a snack.
That's right.
Still is.
That's right.
But when we moved here, you guys remember Rainbow Foods?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my dad and I went to Rainbow Foods to go get some groceries, and I guess there are a ton of Hmong people here, so not everybody always says hi to each other all the time, even in passing.
Right.
So my dad says, "Oh, and the guy just looks at my dad like all weird, like what? Squinting, and I was like, "What, Dad? Why isn't he saying hi to you?"
Yeah.
But we never being in choka,
Right.
Mong, ba, fong, ba,
Right.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that in Idaho, but moving here, even still to this day, I see someone driving down the freeway and they're Hmong. I know they're Hmong. I'm like, dang, that's a Hmong person right there.
Yeah, that's right. I get that feeling too. It's like when you go somewhere far and you're just like, man, where are my Hmong people at?
So why did you get into WildEats and even this researching? I mean, you could have done research in something else. Why did you decide that you wanted to do that? Like, how did you know that was your calling?
Well, so there's 2 questions there, right? So the first thing is I've always, again, enjoyed research.
Yeah.
Trying to understand results, right? And answers to questions and hypotheses, right? And I guess you would hope that people get better, but maybe we need to also understand why people don't get well or why people automatically get better with some clinical care. And, with everything, all the medicines that we have in this world, we're not here to this point in time without research. And so it's always been research that has been the pinnacle of why people may be getting better, or also why we're also not still getting better. And so there's ongoing, continuing research, cancer care research. There's no definite result in like, hey, this is what we need to do to cure it. There's no cure, right? Yet. And so that's always been important to me to try to find answers, right? And then for why I pursued Wild Eats, it's always been a hobby, and it's still just a hobby. Going outside, exploring wildlife, viewing, observing how nature interacts with humans and likewise, and it's just my human nature is to get outside and breathe the fresh air and see the awesome colors, especially fall, my favorite season.
Yeah.
So taking all the great food from the forest onto the table is always a great thing.
Yeah, yeah. I know everybody just thinks that, or especially when we're younger, we're just like, oh, here's food. Because we go to the grocery store and everything's like laid out, like the chicken drumsticks are laid out there, right? The thighs are laid out. But when you go out there, it's a different story. Now you got to forage for your food.
Yeah.
And now you got to still clean it. And I know you got a few videos out there of you doing some foraging and everything like that too, right?
Yeah. There's, we just recently found some wild plums, and I brought some right over there for you guys to taste.
Yeah.
Brought some quetzal, mong quetzal here.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
But it's good. That's one thing that I, again, really enjoy is eating the fresh food, organic food off the land.
Yeah.
And what was the question? What was the question again? It was you.
Some videos of foraging.
There are some more videos of foraging.
Yeah.
And one thing with Wild Eats, one goal was that I think we're losing an understanding of where our food comes from. And it's important that we know how to also, it shouldn't be rated PG-13 or R. It's like, how do we just get a chicken? Where does a chicken come from? And how can we harvest it to make it food, right? We have to process it somehow. And it starts with having to obviously kill an animal so we can feed our bodies, right? And so more and more of our younger generation, I feel, are starting to lose that sense of where our food comes from and how to respect our food so that there's not a lot of food waste as well.
I know that you have a lot of friends that are doing outdoors too. How do you transition your food? How do so it's because people are like, oh, what is that? You know what I mean? I see you do a lot of cooking and stuff too.
Yeah, I really do enjoy cooking for sure. I was a health and nutrition educator at the U of M for a while before I started as a research coordinator. And I think to make it palatable for them is to include infusion. So can we make venison? Okay, maybe they don't want kokwa, right? But maybe they wouldn't mind, let's say, the ground venison, because they usually like hamburgers, right? Well, that ground venison can be made into spaghetti. It can be made into egg rolls. So we make that, we can infuse that into an egg roll dish, and they automatically like it. I mean, if you deep fry anything, people just kind of like it anyway.
That's right. Because we want to take pride in our food too, and just show them like, okay, this is what we eat too.
Exactly.
And this is what we take pride in to our hunting, and we gather together and eat together too, and that's our pride, and this is what we eat.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, you brought up a very good point, because I think even the Hmong or the Americans culture in as a whole are starting to lose their heritage meals also.
Correct.
Their grassroots meals. So if we talk about lutefisk, I mean, Scandinavian people are like, no, we'll absolutely not eat it. Okay, maybe one time for Christmas or whatever. But besides that, they won't eat it. And they're losing it, just as how our younger generation are losing it, because I see a lot of them eating chicken nuggets and rice. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, how can we introduce different types of foods to them so that they can eat cleaner too, but also enjoy in moderation other types of processed foods. it's not, processed foods are not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to learn to live with it. But we can also introduce how we eat our foods also. And so can we make a mallard duck into a good dish that people will enjoy? And it looks good. It looks palatable on paper and on the plate or bowl. And then can we make it taste good to them? And actually in November here, I'll be a part of a group making the governor's deer opener dinner for him and his constituents. And so follow up with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll be making guoguoia for them
Hell
too.
Ah, there you
So
go.
that'd be one dish. But I also want to make a lap for them as well. And I don't know if you know Wild Urban Adventures. A Leaf. He'll be coming out with me as well as my mom and some other volunteers to be a part of that cooking group.
Yeah. Talk about food. How about the state fair then? I know you were just at the state fair, right, Yeng?
Yeah, I was at the state fair. Unfortunately, the turkey legs were sold out pretty quickly. That's one thing that we always try to aim for. I know it's kind of cliche to go for the turkey legs, but I mean, people are going for bacon strips and, whatever. Deep fried pickles. Everything always tastes good to me over there. It's just really expensive, So you can't always eat everything too. So what we do is it tastes better when we share food, right? And so the communal table is that, you take a piece, and we all take a piece. We finish it. And we all pitch in, and it's not so expensive because, we are paying for admittance. And then you're also paying for the community and, just the atmosphere.
Yeah. What about one of the top sellers over there, the calapao? Did you have one of those?
I didn't get to go get any calampaos because they were already sold out by the time we got there. We went on the last day.
Yes, that Monday.
Yeah. So Labor Day.
Talking about calapao, you should plan to do an infusion. Calapao.
That was on my radar. I have a venison calampao coming up later on this year, but it won't be until after I harvest the deer. So it'll be a catch and cook. Yeah.
I'll be a lookout for that.
Okay.
That's gonna be a video coming out, right, Yeng?
yeah. Maybe that's a good idea.
So I know you're probably doing a lot of scouting right now, huh, Yeng? With hunting season coming up.
Yeah, hunting is one of my favorite sports. And I don't want to say sports, but it is a sport. I mean, here in America, we like what Chris Rock said is like only in America are we eating first before we go hunting.
Right.
Along those lines. But so fall season is my favorite season because hunting starts. And then scouting starts even before fall, even before summer. It starts for deer hunting. For me, it starts in the springtime. Well, even right after hunting season of last year is when I start scouting. So if I go on a nature walk, I'll go on the same ridges that I go hunting on, and I'll try to identify the deer movement patterns of, they're here in the wintertime. Where are they in the spring and where are they in the summer? And so you got to sort of take a catalog of where the deer are moving and how they're reacting to the weather and to people. And I think I have a different way of proceeding when it comes to hunting and scouting, because for me, 80 to 90% of this hunting is scouting.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going through the stand where Yeng puts me at.
Because Yeng's got the scouting all down to a T ready.
You know what? Why is hunting valuable for you? A lot of people are losing. It's not even valuable to me anymore. It's like, why am I going to waste my time going out hunting, or why am I wasting my time out here just hiking and just not doing anything? Why do you think it's important to you too?
Well, first and foremost is it's been ingrained into me as a little kid. So I've always started with hunting and nature as my foundation. But 透過以前十波嘅因一直要去讀啦嘅古道一直我哋的有主要內容是 I can't really focus inside. I might have some sort of ADHD. I don't know. But my focus is so much stronger when it's outside. And so when I think about it, when I get to go onto squirrel opener or deer opener with my family, we build that. We've always had a camaraderie, right, with the Hmong community, and then it expands even so much more exponentially when I'm out there sharing stories, sharing food with my family and my friends. And even now, like, we introduced this to my aunts when my grandmother was alive. You know, we try to take her out. We invite our aunts to go fishing and now hunting. And never in like a Hmong person's lifetime would we ever think that, oh, and so it's like it's good to see that we can all enjoy the activities together outside, and that's what she really likes. So let her do it. And I don't want to say that, you know, that we as a Hmong community don't allow for our mothers or our daughters or our sisters to hold firearms or anything. I think that should always be allowed, just to respect the weaponry. But also at the same time, you know, you have more fun together when you do it together anyway.
Yeah. So fall is upon us, right, Yang?
Yeah.
How it's gonna be hard to balance like what you get to do at what time. How do you know that, okay, this week I'm gonna go do this and the next week I'm gonna go do this? You probably got like a schedule planned out already, like squirrel opener. You go on that one, right? Is that the big one? Is that the big first one?
Man, I tell you both, you brothers, that things are much easier when you were single. You could up and go on a dime, and you wouldn't have to say, "Hey, look, I'm going out for 3 days, 2 nights. I'll see you back. I'll see you then." Can't do that. You can't really do that. So you got to balance everything. And also, when you move into your professional career, you just really got to say, okay, what's important? You really got to set aside really important days out of the fall season to say, okay, these are probably a higher percentage day or time of month or time of year that I'm going to harvest something. So you really got to catalog that, organize things to the T, and hopefully you get to take PTO off, because if you're waiting for a whole year, you got to allow for that process to happen at work too, if you're working a 9 to 5 or whatever. And so it is hard. It is difficult to try to say, hey, I'm going to go for ducks this week and then for deer this week and then fall fishing and then ice fishing after. And so good thing I don't do ice fishing, because all these hobbies are expensive. So you just got to kind of manage all that.
Right.
I also see that you're building a lot of relationship with Mika down south too. And I think you're bridging a lot of connection with the Hmong and the Mika. How are you doing that?
I think you just have to be honest, and hold integrity and hold it firm, because some people will try to I think they'll try to veer you off with what you have in mind in terms of your goals. They'll say, "Hey, come on, it's just one extra deer. I mean, what's the problem with that?" But if you do everything legally and you go by the book, I think the American Mika process is why we have our Department of Natural Resources. I mean, we abide by laws. If it's legal, go ahead and take it. You know, if it's just not like cho Mika, cho Mika do, cho May, cho Somali, cho Karen. Yai tiệp bé trời cho chạy chỉ lấy yên bỏ tiệp bé của nhân dân lá, chỉ của nhân dân nên nó chỉ để một chỉ hay giả rộng. Thế sĩ yai tiệp bé cho mong bé ý chữ của ta bé ý chữ chỉ bao lô, thì nhập lối cho tới trong nó rồi, chừng chỉ bao thế à, chỉ không thể yo hay giả một tấm mình nó bé sinh đời đó, chỉ khó dùng cha chỉ trời cho chạy do your best to understand 在在这叫清醒来做在到俾使用個日用知道領導啦要教你攞嘅嚟應摸嚟係能應擺但要我用嘅嚟應撒就要㗎嘛on my Facebook page maybe 50% of 古教 follower 嘅應有咪㗎睇嚟係能咯除咗種嘅應有蒙睇啊即係 I also volunteered a lot for the DNR also.
Okay.
So
That's
and
where you
other-
build your
yeah.
networking and connection
well
with them. Right?
other community
Okay.
community groups too.
Okay.
Just volunteering,
Mhm.
just volunteering and getting yourself out there and taking time to know and understand and listen to people's issues and problems, and you might find that there are similarities with issues and problems with your community also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see you're doing a great job building a connection with because we always tend to have problems, but it seems like I think we're just not understanding each other, and I think that's where you're bridging at too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if people, let's say on social media, there are always people who are, let's say, trolls or people who make very ignorant comments.
Correct.
Well, you got to come at an angle of they probably really didn't know, and what's legal in, let's say, Mississippi is not legal here in Minnesota.
Right.
So in some of my YouTube videos, I'm carrying a gun and walking with my uncles and my dad, and there's a comment that goes, "How does it feel to carry a gun here in America?" I'm like, "Feels great." It came from somebody down south somewhere,
Yeah.
not from Minnesota, but I was just like, "It feels great." I mean, I was born here in the United States, and law-abiding citizen carrying a firearm. 2A, man.
So what is your most favorite thing to do out of all of this fishing and hunting? Like, what's the one thing you cannot wait for then, Yang? Is it the crappies or the deer?
I
which one is
really
it?
enjoy teaching people how to cook. Like, if I could keep creating content, if I had time, whatever I harvest, I want to be able to teach people how to cook. And it does come from, because my roots are Hmong roots, that I want to be able to teach Hmong ways of cooking. But I mean, teaching like people how to make pizza or whatever at home, I might not make it authentic to Italians from across the world.
Right.
But
Hmong pizza,
just-
right?
yeah, exactly. Just to make it palatable again and to make
Yeah.
it fun for everybody
Yeah.
and to include everyone, because kids always want to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
It's just parents don't want them to touch sharp knives. But I think there's a way and a process to educate these kids on how to properly handle knives and utensils and to clean after themselves. And that's a lifelong skill anyway. So we want kids to learn, right?
Yeah.
So we can't say, "I want you to learn, but not now." Maybe when you're in 4th or 5th grade. But things, they could wash dishes, they could take care of things, along the way.
I think that's great because like we go to like third world countries, like kids are like, so young, they're already starting touching knives, washing dishes,
Yeah,
kill your own animal to get your own meat. You know.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. When when I was in a developing country, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, we did study abroad. And like you say, 俾人哋嘅自己來啲哦，頭古人咩有用嘛？古都即我我攞了呀，俾人咩有攞？啲即我嚟嚟
Yeah.
man. So I'm just like, well, I think it comes from us as adults not really giving them, allowing them to participate
Yeah.
in things like that. It's become too dangerous.
有啲我哋需要強嚟聽呀。
Yeah, 因為你諗嘛。
So tell us more about Yeng Moua then. Tell us what we don't know. Like, what are you trying to do, Yang, and more about you?
Yeah. Well, my goal has always been to be able to foster an environment where I could help provide resources to the community. And I am also a part of a community research group called Salamo. It stands for Somali, Latino, and Hmong. So Salamo, okay? So what we do is we partner with, let's say, principal investigators in the community that their health directives are to understand how we could, it's all really clinical research, but we partner as the individuals from the community themselves. So there are voices in the process. If you don't already know, historically, marginalized communities don't often have a voice to say,
Right.
okay, when I was, for example, doing the a part of the Hmong gout study,
Right.
that the process is okay. Well, I think we should put more pump the people more of medication more, but I think some of the Hmong community said, okay, hold on a minute. Well, can we look at the foods that we're eating too, and can we look at like if over medication is part of the issue, or if other things are part of the issue, are stress levels part of the issue, because there's a lot of mental health in the Hmong community, right? And we don't look at that. And maybe that's a cause for stress, which is a cause, sort of a gateway to gout or whatever. We're looking at, so in our study, we're looking at the microbiome. And that bacteria is plays a huge role in transforming our nutrition. So are we the first phase? So this is the second phase. The first phase was, can we look to see if let's say Dr. Pajova, she had a study where after one generation or two generations or three generations of immigrants and refugees coming into America, we looked at microbiome and saw that the bacteria in the gut had changed immensely from first generation to third or second generation. And with that, there was a positive correlation with influenced BMI, so increasing body mass index, cholesterol, diabetes, with that changing of the gut. So we looked at the gut. So phase 2 here, right? Fast forward. We looked at the gut microbiome, and we're trying to see if vitamin C can affect some of the positive bacteria, and we're seeing if that can influence how gout is moves, right, or is transformed. So, if we look at Salamo, they're a community that helps provide the necessary voices to say, okay, for our Hmong elders, it was we didn't know what was going on, but as we went to Hmong Village, Komotown Flea Market, corner pharmacies, and the smaller Hmong clinics, we displayed and showed them that, hey, this is what's going on. We need your help. Yes, we're collecting poop samples, but this is important. And Hmong people will never have known that poop was important for data collecting, right? But it's an important process, and someone's got to do it. Obviously, there are nuances to how we're collecting everything, but it's kosher, and that it's clean, and that no one's private health information is being leaked out anywhere. It's all kept in house.
So you say you did some gout study too, right, Yang?
I was a part of a gout study. Yes.
Can you tell us your little research pathway or your educational pathway so far right now, so we could kind of like see that?
Yeah. Okay. High school, Patrick Henry High School. Go Henry. All right, go Patriots. And then I went to the University of Minnesota. I graduated in kinesiology, which is sports medicine, and then took a few years off, went for my master's, and this was in security technologies. And hold on a second. So security technologies is very broad, and I wanted to look at emergency preparedness, looking into how to protect the hospital organization at a 360 level, which is biohazards, security of all sorts, right? Issues that come along with that. And then I noticed that there was a lot of data that was just sitting around that people could use. And so after that time off my master's, I decided to pursue the doctoral pathway in research. And one program that looks a lot at data, all data, is health informatics. So data as in coding using Python or R, MATLAB, those are all programs or applications to identify how to disaggregate data. Tia high school diploma ta ke mu ke tia plohyong ta U of M ke plohyong ta ke ma mu master ta ke ma dokala sa pa nga get the whole doctoral program at U of M.
Yeah.
That's great. I think you just want like the Hmong men MVP.
It's a lot of the balance,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Yang? Yeah. How do you balance all that then? It's because we only got that 7 days a week. Is it a lot of schooling and then, like you said, time off when you can?
Well, now, so after the pandemic, I kind of took a step back while I was in my doctoral program, a pathway, right? So I did have a lot of time, and I do give it up for a lot of the single parents or the parents that are going back to school because it was hard for me being a single dude, right? Just a bachelor going in, but seeing these single moms, these fathers, single fathers, going in and getting their 4-year degrees and then going into get their masters. This is something that makes me happy to see is that not just 姚明有才了，是姚明有读书，这是学的 even more 一天的叫老整到科目跟的 which is great too. Not saying that academics is for everybody, but I think learning should be for everyone. Like it doesn't have to be a 4-year degree.
Right.
But you should get certified in something that you enjoy doing, that you can make money and not be broke ass.
Right.
Because that's really it brings your morale down as a person,
Yes, it sure
right?
does.
Just always like fighting paycheck to paycheck,
Right.
right? And so seeing our community grow and pursue in education, whatever that might be, and get money and save for your kids is important to me. So I see that as a staple. And then beyond Salamo as a community research volunteer, in the next few months, what I was telling Tu earlier was that I will be going into look at commercial real estate and real estate also. I think just being able to understand real estate is important too.
Okay.
Monopoly has always been important, but I'm still learning now. So, if we ever have a continuing conversation moving forward, I'm down to talk more.
Definitely. I think that's a plan.
Yeah.
What is what is a vision that you should give them to insight and see
Yeah.
while they are still in the phase of Gandao high school? What is after high school, man? Where you gotta focus your goal at? Where at?
Yeah.
Like, where do you see your vision at? Like, okay, how are we gonna help bridge them to be a better Hmong man in the future?
Yeah. One organization that I was a part of in its infancy when it started at the U of M was called Hmong Men Circle. And Hmong Men Circle was a safe place for us Hmong boys, Hmong men, young Hmong adults to go and talk about issues that we're having currently while we're in school. Whether it's, 给尿血、打针、用的油脂，莫是假是给有应该的知道，那是莫的也讲的我尿血呢。That was a safe place, and that was an opportunity to be able to be a mentor to help younger students. And one takeaway I would always have from being a part of that group is that it's never too late to mentor somebody, because you took the high school tala, you dokamo mentor high school adult, you go the middle school tala, you dokamo pa middle school adult, you go the masters tala, you dokalo pa be blohyong. So it's never too late to mentor somebody. And it's never too late to find a mentor also. That's the hard part, because when we were growing up, we didn't know what questions to ask. So right now, I think it's up to us as the older adults, as the older brothers, to be able to be kind and find time to help the younger siblings. And who knows what kind of, the amount of kindness that you have, whether it's small or large, that you think is small or large, it might impact somebody and make it so much more gratifying for them to live and to make a difference in the world for everybody. So try to be a mentor in however you think is a positive mentor. And You can go to a local public high school or local church or a local organization, tsuki, and learn, right? And there's always people wanting to find a niche, to find a circle to be a part of. And if you can find a home for them, they could grow. And that's something that I feel is significantly important for our community, especially Pekia.
Yeah, that's good because mentorship is it was difficult growing up too. So that's a good point that you pointed out too. And I guess we, as the future, should be mentors ourselves too. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And we'll just put one announcement out there. We're gonna give away 2 free shirts from WildEats, and the pieces is also gonna match 2 free shirts as well. Yang, you remember what sizes those were again?
The shirts that I have are large and medium, and what it says up here, it says "pu nya," and "pu" meaning overflow. So I have a bucket of fish, and the fish are flowing out of the bucket. And so it's just a WildEats special edition shirt.
Sounds good. And we'll match the same sizes in the pieces too. So
Awesome.
Yep. Great things you're doing, WildEats and Yang here. Make sure you guys go follow Yang and WildEats too. I know he's doing great things. I know you guys could reach out in the social media too. Yang would hit back you guys on that too. I know he hit me back real soon too. So make sure you guys reach out to Yang. Yang, what does the future hold then? What are the future plans for WildEats, and what are the future plans that you have going forward?
Yeah, thanks. Before I answer that though, if everybody listening can give the pieces a like and a follow, that'd be great, because they're doing really great things, initiating the community members to come and have a discussion at this table so that we can promote Hmong and what it actually means to uplift everybody. So that's what I really appreciate. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes,
So
yes.
appreciate it. The future is that I'm going to continue just having fishing, hunting, foraging as a hobby, and whatever it might come of, it'll come. But that's not going to be my main goal. It's just really to focus on my academics moving forward, and then learning also. But I'm never going to stop going hunting and fishing and foraging. It's always going to be a continual thing. And if anybody ever wants to learn, I'm always open. Just hit me up on my Facebook, WildEats, all capital letters.
Yeah. Anything else you want to leave on the show too, Yang? Anything that we left behind?
Just for me, it's to be kind. And if you have extra time, be generous and lend it out to somebody. They might need it. There's a lot of people, a lot of that are needing help and assistance, and they don't have mentors. So remember what we grew up with, what we didn't have. I think we could make a very positive difference with those lives. So if you're looking for, especially in the STEM field, STEM, the hard sciences, I have friends and family that are always willing to mentor. They just don't know how to gain some of those people to reach out to. So I might be a bridge. Maybe the pieces might be a bridge too. Let the pieces know. Let me know how we can help, and we could connect. Whoever's listening, if you have a son or daughter that wants a mentor and they want to be a mentee, let us know. I think we could all set them up with a great person.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here for the resources. We're here for the plug.
Well, that was great. Thank you, Yang, for coming on the show, taking your time out of the day, and come spread out some information. And we appreciate you too.
Yeah. And one last thing, right, John? Always that one last thing. The one last piece of advice for our community, Yang.
One last piece of advice, like I said, I think that it would be a positive thing if we could all be mentors in some way, in some capacity. There's always people needing help, needing assistance, and if you can be kind and generous enough to spread some of that love, we could all use that. Right. So just do your best always. Be kind.
Great. Thank you very much, Yang. And one last announcement, too. This will be the last episode for the pieces. So stay tuned. See what surprises we might have for you guys next season.
Yes. Thank you all.